Hello, my name is Almira Mekayaban, and today I will be talking about the short-eared owl, also called the Asio Flammeus. So, some physical characteristics. Short-eared owls are considered medium-sized owls, where females are slightly larger than males, typically standing about 15 inches tall, while males are about 14 and a half inches tall. Females usually weigh between 10 ounces and 17 ounces, while males weigh between 7 ounces and 16 ounces. They have yellow eyes and black beaks. They are mostly brown with streaks on their breasts, and their wingspans range between 38 to 44 inches. Males and females can be differentiated in flight, where males will tend to have white or buff underparts, while the females will have tawny or rust-colored underparts. And unlike other owls, who are mostly active during the nighttime, these species are actually considered crepuscular, which basically means that they are mostly active during dusk and dawn. They are very vocal creatures, and their methods of communication includes barking, squawking, hissing, and beak snapping. So the diet depends on the age and the sex of the owl, and many owls directly rely on an abundant food resource. And this basically means that depending on their prey availability, this will affect how much eggs will be reproduced during the breeding season. So their diet mainly consists of small mammals, including moles, mice, rabbits, shrews, lemmings, pocket gophers, as well as voles. Majority of their diet is actually made up of voles, where they consume 1 to 2 voles per day. And these owls are actually very valuable at keeping the rodent populations in check. Aside from this, they are actually excellent flyers, and they tend to mainly stay closer to the ground. When they're hunting, they actually dive or fly low over the ground and pounce on their prey from above. They also use their abilities of hearing, vision, and flight adaptations in order to catch their prey. So their breeding sites, the number of nesting pairs, and the number of eggs or young may change based on the food supply, as I mentioned before. Breeding occurs in March through June, when both sexes begin to defend their territories and courtship takes place. And these methods of courting include wing clapping, exaggerated wing beats, and skirmishing. So, in preparation for the breeding season, the female will create or find a shallow depression in the ground, and she will line it with anything she could find, basically. So, grass, feathers, and other suitable materials. The amount of eggs that she will produce will range depending, as I said, the prey abundance, and it could range from 1 to 11 eggs. And incubation lasts about a month. So the early stages of life. After 24 to 28 days, the eggs will hatch, and the young will vary in ages. This allows for the older and stronger young to survive despite food being so scarce. The males actually do most of the foraging and providing food for the female and their offspring, and the parents play an active role in protecting their offspring from intruders and possible predators as well. So the first 2 weeks of the young, they're not old enough to fly on their own, but they're able to roam around the nest. This allows them to get more familiar with their surroundings, and this also allows them to be able to observe their parents hunting as well. In the fourth week, they are old enough to learn how to fly or fledge, but they still cannot independently hunt themselves until 7 to 8 weeks old. So during the winter, they tend to gather in habitats such as fallow fields, hay meadows, pastures, marshes, and basically any other sites that offer adequate shelter from harsh conditions or harmful elements. The owls will typically stay in the same area unless deep snow or ice reduce the availability of their prey. And if this happens, they will just leave to a more suitable environment to finish out the winter season. In the spring and summer, they gather in areas such as grasslands, marshes, dunes, and prairies. Basically, any areas where food is plentiful. They take advantage of these favorable conditions and stay here for the breeding season. So, conservation status. Short-eared owls are experiencing a decline across North America, but globally they're listed as species of least concern. However, in North America, the population loss of these species since 1970 went down 65%. So the primary threats to these species in New Jersey include habitat loss, human disturbance, and prey availability. So the number of plants in an ecosystem is directly related to the number of species that can be found in that area. And even though short-eared owls are rodent specialists, they still rely on healthy and biodiverse food web in order to ensure that they can sustain for themselves as well as their offspring. And despite the fact that these species are able to lay 1 to 11 eggs during a breeding season, this does not guarantee their survival of the offspring. As I mentioned before, it really depends on the condition of the environment, meaning that if there is scarce amount of prey or the living conditions of the habitat are very poor, then this reflects or influences the chances of survival of their offspring. So like so yeah, that's basically what it is. And I wanted to include this slide. This is one of these studies that I have found about the short-eared owl, and basically it's a study where they monitor these species, and with that collection of data, they wish to inform and educate others about the importance of the short-eared owls so that we can continue conservation efforts in order to protect them from further decline in population. So these are my references, and yeah, thank you.